Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive, almost invisible biological saga that's actually probably happening right now, right inside your everyday houseplants. We're going to explore this epic, cinematic life cycle that has literally been quietly repeating itself on Earth since way before the dinosaurs even existed.
So let's jump right in by grounding our journey in something super familiar. Chances are you really don't have to look very far to spot our subject today. You've probably got one of these ancient survivors sitting nearby in a pot, or maybe growing outside in your garden just looking pretty. It's so common you honestly might never have guessed its true ancient lineage.
The answer? The Pteridophyte. This is a massive group of seedless, vascular plants that first showed up on Earth over 350 million years ago. We're talking about your beautiful ferns, the structural horsetails, ground pines, and club mosses. They are quite literally living fossils. And you know, their survival strategy is nothing short of incredible.
Section 1. Meet the ancient pteridophytes, the evolutionary middle ground. Now, what makes pteridophytes so absolutely fascinating is their habitat. While they are fully terrestrial, meaning they do live on land, they still heavily rely on being near water. This is exactly why you typically find them thriving in moist, shaded places, like the dense understory of a tropical forest. But why do they need that moisture so badly? Well, we'll get to that thrilling conclusion in just a bit.
Section 2. Evolution of plant plumbing, the first true vascular tissues. Okay, to really grasp their phenomenal survival, we have to look at the first ever evolution of true vascular tissues in plants. Before pteridophytes came along, plants were frankly quite simple. But here, we see the development of xylem, which specifically conducts water, and phloem, which conducts food throughout the entire plant. This was a massive evolutionary breakthrough. It gave these plants genuine, complex roots, stems, and leaves for the very first time in history.
Section 3. The dominant spore factory, the sporophyte stage.
Next, let's talk about the actual plant you see when you look at a fern, the main body in their whole biological loop, which scientists called the sporophyte. Evolutionarily speaking, pteridophytes mark the very first time the sporophyte became the dominant stage in plants. Unlike simpler organisms like bryophytes, where the main plant is a totally different phase, that large, independent, leafy fern you see towering in a forest is the sporophyte itself. It's diploid, meaning it has two sets of chromosomes, and it is completely self-sufficient.
And as this dominant plant matures, it does something really cool. It develops these specialized leaves called sporophylls. If you've ever flipped a fern leaf over and noticed those little brown dots underneath, yeah, you're looking at sporangia, which are literal spore factories. Inside these tiny factories, spores are formed through a cell division process called meiosis. This creates haploid spores, meaning they only carry one single set of chromosomes. And then those spores just wait to be dispersed out into the environment by the wind, water, or even passing animals.
Now, while most of these plants are homosporous, meaning they produce just one single type of spore, there are always some fascinating exceptions. Certain pteridophytes, like the Salaginella, are heterosporous. They actually produce two entirely distinct types of spores. You have your tiny microspores, which are male, and the larger megaspores, which are female.
Section 4. The hidden independent gametophyte, the secret 1-centimeter plant.
So once those spores land in ideal conditions, our whole narrative shrinks down into an almost alien, microscopic world. A single spore splits and actually grows into a completely separate tiny plant called a gametophyte or a prothallus. We are talking barely 1 centimeter in size here, yet despite being that tiny, it's a fully independent plant. It gathers its own water and minerals directly from the soil using these tiny thread-like structures called rhizoids.
This tiny 1-centimeter plant really has just one crucial job: reproduction. It exclusively bears the sex organs of the plant. If the spore came from a homosporous plant, this tiny gametophyte is bisexual, bearing both male and female organs. The male organ, called the antheridium, produces flagellated male gametes. Meanwhile, the female organ, the archegonium, produces just a single waiting egg cell.
Section 5. Water, swimming, and fertilization, the microscopic action sequence.
All right, here's where we finally see why they absolutely must have moist environments. When those male gametes are released, they literally have to swim to reach the egg cell. Without a physical drop of water, they're completely stranded. But if it's wet enough, they'll swim over to the egg, fertilize it, and form a diploid zygote. That zygote then grows right out of the tiny gametophyte, eventually maturing into a brand new towering sporophyte. And just like that, the entire epic cycle is complete.
Section 6. The ecological heavyweights beyond the living room. So we have zoomed all the way into the microscopic level, but let's zoom back out for a second. These plants sit perfectly in the evolutionary middle ground. They're the vital bridge in plant history. See, they carry ancient, water-dependent reproduction traits, relying on spores and swimming gametes, but they are absolutely rocking modern plant plumbing with true roots and vascular tissues. They pave the way for the complex trees and flowers we see everywhere today.
And their impact stretches far, far beyond just looking pretty in a living room pot. These guys are ecological heavyweights. Out in the wild, pteridophytes are quietly maintaining soil health, regulating local microclimates, fixing nitrogen to help other plants grow, providing crucial habitats for a massive variety of organisms, and ultimately promoting the Earth's overall biodiversity.
The next time you walk past a fern in the forest, or even just water the one sitting on your windowsill, I really hope you see it differently. Will you just see a simple houseplant? Or will you see a 350-million-year-old ecosystem engineer quietly repeating an epic, invisible biological loop that sustains life on Earth? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.